I think that means it's ready to start. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our very last summer meeting of 2021. I'd also like to welcome our guest speaker, Robin Isenberg. Hello, Robin. She's going to be talking today about mental health in the workplace. And right now, I would like to invite Joe Habib to come up and deliver a reflection, followed by Rick Arnos leading the pledge.
Thank you. Will you please bow your head with me? Let us pray silently together, each one of us according to our own individual belief. Let us offer thanks for our food. Let us offer blessings for one another. Let us be the source of hope for those in need and contentment for those who are lonely. Let us give gratitude for our opportunity to serve Rotary. Let the feelings of love and kindness always be reflected in our actions. Now, please let us pray silently together for 30 seconds, each one of us according to our own beliefs. Amen. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Rick. Also, thank you. I don't know if Brent Cousin is here. I didn't see him. Brent, somewhere. Anyway, he is the meeting sponsor this week, Browning Cousineau, and actually the meeting sponsor all month. Does anyone have any guests that they would like to introduce? If you do, please come up to the microphone. No guests? I know one guest. Do you want me to? You're going to do it? You can come up here if you want. You're special.
No, I don't need a mic. Well, it does work. I do have a guest with me today. I have Charlie Grice, who has been the love of my life for 25 years, although some of you know, some of you don't. But he joined me today, and I'm really delighted that he came with me.
Welcome, Charlie. Don't know if anyone has ever gone on the slow ride in Perrysburg, but Charlie's the grand ringleader of that for I don't know how many years, and it's really a pretty cool thing. And one of our past presidents actually performed live, Dick Wolf, riding in a cart, playing his guitar one night. So, Wes, you did too? I didn't see Wes. Thank you both. All right. We're kind of in the middle of the Mesa bike ride. It started Saturday. I think it's going to finish up sometime this week. But the next thing I'd like to do is ask Tom Backoff to please come up here, and he's got a few words he would like to say to us.
Thank you, President Bob. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. As Bob mentioned, it's a day of transition, not only in the seasons of the year, but also here at the Rotary Club of Toledo. Today's a bit bittersweet, as it's our last Monday meeting with Kathy Tate serving as our Executive Director. It is appropriate and fitting that today, Kathy, we pay tribute for all you have accomplished in your 9 years as our Executive Director. But before I start the remarks, Kathy, you always understood the importance of making Monday meetings both meaningful and fun. To make them fun, you looked for stunts, and props to liven up the day. So today we have some props on the table. I pulled a stunt on you this morning that I didn't mean to. I was working on these remarks throughout the weekend. I had something I needed to ask Kathy this morning, and I put it in my phone for about 8:30. Well, when my alarm went off and I grabbed my phone, I accidentally called Kathy at 4:55 a.m. And she woke up. I called her again at 8:30 to ask my question, and very sheepishly said, "I am sorry," and she was very kind and gracious and forgiving, as she always is, so thank you. That really wasn't part of what I had planned. But I do have some other props in this bag. And depending on how this talk goes, Kathy, some of these props you may want to use now, later, maybe not at all. I don't know. First off, a banner. Hooray. Moving on to the next step in your career. A box of Kleenex. This might be a little emotional. A bottle of wine. Rotary wine from our centennial celebration. Now, this was bottled in 2008. I happened to have a little of this during shutdown. It may not be so good. But just in case, here's a real bottle of Velvet Devil. And you can feel free to open this here because I bought it here at the Toledo Club. So you can open it anytime, keep it to yourself or share. One last, maybe later today, confetti. Now we're a new tenant here at the Toledo Club. Don't open it here. But maybe as part of your celebration at home, you might want to pop the cork and celebrate. Kathy Tate started as our executive director on June 1st, 2012. She has assisted 10 club presidents, including President Bob, and 6 foundation chairs during her tenure. Here are some comments about Kathy from those club leaders. First, past President Joe Tafalski. To me, Kathy has been phenomenal. She helped make my experience as Rotary president not just a good one, but a great one. To me, what makes Kathy special is she is a great Rotarian. She's passionate about our mission and our club. This was reflected in her great work and many accomplishments. She is always going above and beyond for us. Being the executive director of Toledo Rotary and our foundation was not just a job for Kathy, it was her passion. She is the consummate professional. Words that come to mind when I think of Kathy are her generosity, patience, kindness, friendliness, effective leadership, professionalism, and intelligence. Also, her Carolina twang is special. Past President Andy Stewart. Kathy's devotion to this club is unfathomable. Her support and counsel to each president is uncalculable. And to understand her judgment of how to be the executive director of the world's finest Rotary Club, well, one need to look no further than the 4-way test. Past Foundation Chair Louise Jackson. Kathy did 3 things for me which greatly helped me carry out my duties as chairperson of the foundation. 1, she was always thoroughly prepared for board meetings, including detailed agendas with supporting documents, which made them go smoothly and avoided wasted time. 2, she carried out the thankless task of locating and organizing our policies and archives. 3, she was always fun to work with. She is the model par excellence of a good executive director, and those of us who worked with her during her tenure in the Rotary administration were lucky to have her help us in our leadership roles. A true gem. Past President Dick Wolf. Kathy has become a good friend and was indispensable in helping me as club president. I would say my favorite memory would be the weekly breakfast meetings the two of us had at First Watch during my year as president. It was at those meetings that I learned of her tremendous grasp of all aspects of Rotary, her great organizational skills, and her addiction to avocado toast. Those meetings were truly a highlight of each week. Her commitment to our club has been second to none. Past Foundation Chair Kathy Michaelagic. Kathy always has Rotary's back. Regardless of how many balls she had in the air, she seemed to make it all work. For me, being the chair of the foundation would simply not have been possible without Kathy. And finally, from Mary Mancini, Foundation Chair, my fondest recollection is a gathering of many Rotarians a few years ago. We had a major fund drive going and a deadline to receive a challenge grant. We needed all hands on deck to declare a success. Kathy immediately swung into action, organizing a phonathon. But the most interesting part is she opened her own house to a meeting of a group of Rotarians who stopped by to help. Lists of names, numbers, etc. were handed out and spread out all over her home to make the calls. She is both the consummate organizer and hostess. That afternoon in her home is what Rotary is all about: service above self and fellowship. Wow, Kathy. Some amazing, well-deserved words from an accomplished group of Rotarians. To add some of my own thoughts, I was honored and I was extremely fortunate to serve as club president for your first year as executive director. In my entire Rotary and business career, you are one of the best hires and one of the best people I ever helped to train. When I asked you to reflect on your time as executive director, you said, I recall being in the Anderson store when Keith Burwell called my cell to let me know the search committee wanted me to come in for a second interview. And they wanted me to bring a copy of my vision for Rotary. Can't tell you how much time and effort I put together putting together that vision, pulling it out of my head and putting it onto paper. It was painful at the time, but it was a powerful exercise, and I'm so thankful for the experience. Overall, I think most of it did make our club better, and the leadership I was privileged to serve alongside made all the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, this vision was 6 pages long. And she put it together for us. I was fortunate enough to serve on that search committee. And I remember thinking, if our executive director could accomplish 1/4 of what was on these sheets, we would have had a huge success. Kathy, as I looked through this and what you accomplished, you exceeded all expectations. There is one accomplishment we've not mentioned that may be unprecedented in our club's almost 110-year history. Kathy, you have led fundraisers, both as a chairperson and as executive director, for the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation that have raised well over $1 million. Beyond that, this club has been recognized by Rotary International with the Presidential Citation, the highest award a Rotary Club can achieve, and we've done that in 8 of your 9 years of leadership. You have helped transition our club to a second century of service. You've helped change the production of our Monday meetings. You've helped guide and lead a Rotary Club with much larger and far more significant goals. Establishing strategic plans, hosting 2 water conferences, planning and fundraising for transformational projects, transforming our foundation and partnering with the Greater Toledo Community Foundation, and then, of course, the pandemic. Moving to Zoom meetings, to hybrid meetings, to now in-person meetings, closing the Park Inn office, moving here to the Toledo Club. Kathy, the list goes on. Kathy, your enthusiasm, persistence, and resilience is truly remarkable. We are so very grateful to have served with you. We are grateful to call you our friend. You are a terrific Rotarian. Congratulations, Kathy, on a job well done. Thanks in large part to you, the Rotary Club of Toledo, our club, is one of the finest Rotary clubs in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and congratulate Kathy Tate.
Open up that box of Kleenex. I'm going to go off script just a little bit here, and I'm going to get past District Governor and past President Helen Balonis, give her a few minutes because she has some remarks also.
Well, I can't look at Kathy. Brought my hanky. Okay. Tom, you did an excellent job of encapsulating all the hard work and dedication that Kathy provided for the Rotary Club of Toledo. I'd like to expand your vision. Not all of you are aware of what happens at the district level. So our district is from Cleveland to the Indiana border, down almost to Dayton, over to Mansfield. That's a geographic area. We're also in another geographical area called a zone that up until this year encompassed from western New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. That was the zone we were in. And in each of those geographical areas, there's leadership. On top of that, there is something called the large clubs, which of course you know we are a large club. And the large clubs of the world get together and they have unique needs and situations that only the executive directors of large clubs can talk about they have in common, as opposed to the average Rotary Club being 40 members. That's like one of our committees. Kathy has been instrumental in all of that. At the district level, the year that I was district governor, which was 11-12, the Rotary Club of Toledo, in their generosity, helped me to put on a fabulous district conference that set the stage for future district conferences, and Kathy was at the heart of it. I can't tell you how many nights she worked on putting things together, from sponsorships like we had at It's a Ball. The district never had that. So we could never really expand and do much because we only had a very limited budget. But with Kathy's vision, by doing the House of Friendship and doing other things, we were able to expand, bring more people in, and more importantly, all of the little clubs, at that time there were 64 in this geographical area, were able to share the projects that they did and get to know one another. It raised the standing of the Rotary Club of Toledo in the district by leaps and bounds, because prior to that, for whatever reason, the Rotary Club of Toledo was not involved at the district level. Kathy helped to change that forever. Let's expand and go into the zone level and the large club level. Kathy was able to share at a larger meeting of Rotarians what the Rotary Club of Toledo was doing. Tom mentioned so many of the things, from our fundraising with the It's a Ball to the water projects. I won't repeat everything he said, but the other clubs said in amazement. They looked at Kathy like, "Your club is doing all that?" It was phenomenal. And again, the elevation of the Rotary Club of Toledo was due to Kathy's taking her extra time to go to those meetings, and then Rotary International, the conventions, the worldwide event where 1.2 million Rotarians are members. She went and represented us along with whomever was the incoming president for that year, and shared what you all are doing. Kathy, we do owe you a great debt, because you enhanced our standing in the Rotary world by your actions and your deeds, and we will forever be grateful. I ask you again to stand and applaud the great effort of Kathy and what she did on a larger scale for the Rotary Club of Toledo.
Thank you, Helen. And we have one more announcement from Kevin Mullen, if you would come up and give us a few remarks.
Kathy, if I could have you please come forward. Yep, really. Nice try. I waited for her to take a big old bite, and it was like, come on up. So many of you may know, I'm not presenting you with historical tales of Toledo just yet. As many of you may know, our club was founded in 1912, and as I just learned today, Kathy was not the executive director when that happened. That's not to say that Kathy's old, it's to say that I can't imagine our club without her. Everybody talks about their Rotary moment, and I know for me personally, and probably for many folks in the room, that Rotary moment happened with her at the helm. So I am very excited to announce that in honor of Kathy's foundational work with our organization, in appreciation for the more than $2.5 million that has been raised for our Rotary Club Foundation under her leadership over the last 9 years. I'm excited to present Kathy with a 1912 Fellow.
You are?
So as you may know, the 1912 Fellow was founded in the fall of 2019 for individuals or groups of people who want to donate $1,000 or more to the Rotary Club of Toledo Foundation in celebration of our history and in celebration of the great work we do. Kathy, congratulations. You've raised over $2.5 million for our foundation, and now more than $2,000 more on behalf of the entire club. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you have to say something.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to cut this off. I know it seems like it's just gone on, and I am so overwhelmed by all the acknowledgments and thanks. I'll try to maintain my composure. But it's been a joy to serve this club for all these years. There hasn't been a moment until recently that I didn't enjoy it. And I think I'm just tired, and I forgot how much we have done. And so I am tired, and I also think it's time for new leadership, and Jackie will do a fine job with that. And I want to thank Abby for sticking with me in a really trying time with the pandemic and working from home. And I hired her and then just say, do it, because we weren't together. And I've enjoyed serving with every single president that I've had the privilege to serve with. And so I do thank you for this pen. It's very meaningful. And I appreciate that I could do so much with the help of so many others. Then I made a difference maybe in the world instead of just taking up space. And that's what I always tell my kids, just do something that makes a difference. It doesn't have to be big, but make it meaningful. So thank you. I look forward to my retirement. I'm not going to do anything. That's my goal, just so you know.
Thank you all for your remarks. Thank you, Kathy, so much for your service. Kathy always tried to keep me prepared in spite of myself, and we're moving on. Thank you so much, Kath. Next, Chuck Stocking, would you please come up here and give an announcement on peace? Oh, well, Wes will do it.
All right, so my name is Wes Gredzian, relatively new, but I'm the chair this year of the Peace Committee. So tomorrow actually is the International Day of Peace, sometimes known as World Peace Day. It's a United Nations sanctioned holiday observed annually on September 21st. It's dedicated to world peace in the absence of war and violence, such as might be occasioned by a temporary ceasefire in a combat zone for humanitarian aid access. The day was first celebrated in 1981 and is observed by many nations, political groups, military groups, and people across the world. In 2013, the day was dedicated by the Secretary General of the United States to peace, or United Nations to peace education, the key preventive means to reduce war sustainability. To inaugurate the day, the United Nations Peace Bell is rung at the UN headquarters in New York City. The bell is cast from coins donated by children from all continents and was a gift from the United Nations Association in Japan. It is a reminder of the human cost of war, and the inscription on the side of it reads, "Long live absolute world peace." As a humanitarian organization, peace is a cornerstone of Rotary International's mission. We believe that when people work to create peace in their communities, that change can have a global effect. By carrying out service projects and supporting peace fellowships and scholarships, our members take action to address the underlying causes of conflict, including poverty, discrimination, ethnic tension, lack of access to education, and unequal distribution of resources. Our commitment to peace building today answers new challenges as we make the greatest possible impact in how we can achieve our vision of lasting change. We are approaching the concept of peace with greater cohesion and inclusivity, broadening the scope of what we mean by peace building and finding more ways for people to get involved. Rotary creates environments where peace can happen. Chuck?
Thanks, Wes. I think, Kathy, I would add to the accolades. You really buy into and live the Rotary principles, and what Rotary does in the area of peace is so spectacular. The other areas, for those who may not be as familiar, Rotary has 7 priorities in addition to promoting peace and conflict resolution, and they are fighting disease, the polio eradication, providing clean water and sanitation, saving mothers and children, supporting education, growing local economies, and protecting the environment. Today, it's very fitting that we get a little bit of time to reflect on, particularly on the peacemaking, given that tomorrow is the International Day of Peace. Your club has been gifted, and the Peace Committee in particular is gifted a peace pole, which has in the languages of many of the combatants in the world, the statement that may there be peace on earth. This poll is going to be re-gifted to the University of Toledo and their Office of Student Inclusion. Tomorrow, it will be part of their dedication on the International Day of Peace. One particular thing that is, I think, really interesting is one of the languages on there is the language of the Miami Indians. Of course, they are a group of people who suffered mightily at the hands of those who were doing what they thought was the best thing. Thanks to Rotary in this district, we helped them to reestablish their language as a spoken language. This was led by Miami University, and for this work, Daryl Baldwin, who heads up and is a Miami direct descendant of Chief Little Turtle, won the MacArthur Genius Award of $650,000. So I think we had a small part to play in that. But the language on here in the Miami language is Awinthatawi Ashikiongi. Daryl Baldwin at my district conference gave the benediction in the Miami language. That was a very wonderful time. Today I congratulate the club, Kathy, and Rotary for all of its efforts and its impact globally in establishing peace and making a difference in the world we all serve. So thank you all very much.
Just lastly, real quick, the Peace Committee is having its first meeting after this meeting, so if you're interested in learning more about peace or what we do, please join us.
Thanks, guys. Finally, Travis Tangeman, if you would please come up. And AV people, I'm sorry if I got us out of order somewhere. I probably did.
It all works out. Good afternoon, everybody. So, this doesn't happen often in the Rotary world. I am not going to ask you for money. But we have an opportunity to raise money for our club's foundation. Inside of District 6600, an anonymous donor has put up a challenge grant. And that challenge is to drive vaccination against COVID. And anyone who has been vaccinated, and actually every member should have received an email from our district governor asking you to fill out a survey if you've been vaccinated. If you have been vaccinated and you complete the survey by September 30th, the donor will actually donate a percentage back to this club's foundation as an incentive. So for an example, if we have 300 club members and 192 are vaccinated, that represents 64% of our club. That would actually equal a $12,000 donation to our club's foundation. So I am up here simply to urge you all, please, number one, get vaccinated for all of our benefit, but more importantly, take advantage of an opportunity to raise money for our club's foundation. And go out, the link, if you do not have this email, will be posted on the front of the website. It'll also be in the Spoke this week. Please fill that out and take advantage of this great opportunity for our foundation. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis. And please register if you're vaccinated. That will help us tremendously. Jean Dries will introduce our speaker, so have at it.
Thank you, President Bob and fellow Rotarians. I have to say quickly, I've never been prouder to be a Rotarian sitting here today. And Kathy, I'm just not going to look at you or I'm going to cry. So congratulations and best always. I'm proud to introduce you to Robin Isenberg if you're not familiar or have not met her yet. I had the pleasure of working with her in a leadership role at Harbor Behavioral Health for about 12 years, and now I serve on her board of directors. I'm going to kind of quickly paraphrase this, but Robin is the executive director of NAMI, which stands for National Alliance of Mental Illness. Toledo native, outstanding person, and as we say as our board and as we talk, there's never been a time more than now to talk about mental health, and I think she's going to touch on mental health in the workplace. And again, I'm really proud to bring her to you in Robin Isenberg.
Thank you, Jean. That was lovely. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to share an hour with you today. Very impressed. What a great organization you have. Congratulations, Kathy. Thanks for sharing the floor with me today. I appreciate that. So, okay, let's see. This is where I'm looking. Matt, Kevin, right here? Yes, to my left? Okay. Got to get the lay of the land here. Okay, so let's start with NAMI. Like Jean said, NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Is this the clicker that I'm supposed to use here? Okay. There we go. And today my presentation is going to incorporate 4 different parts. First, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about NAMI and what NAMI does. We're really lucky here in Lucas County to have a really strong NAMI chapter, and I do want to let everybody know that and share all the great stuff that we do here in our own community. I'm going to talk about mental health in a little bit greater detail. Like Jean mentioned, now is the time for all of us to be talking about mental health. It's really important, especially in light of everything that's happening, with the pandemic and what's happening in our country. It's certainly something that it's a topic that we need to be talking about, and I think historically we haven't spoken about it enough. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to specifically talk about what mental health looks like in the workplace. You're all professionals, and we all have personal lives, and we kind of know and think about what mental health looks like in our personal life, but we probably don't think a lot about how it affects our businesses and our coworkers and our colleagues and things like that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to provide you with a resource that NAMI Greater Toledo provides to our community. It's called Stigma-Free Company. So that's going to cover what I'm going to talk about today. So thanks for the floor. First, I want to talk about NAMI. Again, NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are a national organization, the largest grassroots organization in this country, also in Canada and Mexico. We do go beyond the borders a little bit. That's dedicated to building better lives for millions of Americans that are impacted by mental illness. And farther in my presentation, I'll show you just how prevalent that really actually is. So we support the community in 4 different ways. First, through education. Our educational programs provide insight, communication skills, self-care, and just help individuals and family members build resiliency and empower them to be in charge of their own mental health journeys. Secondly, we guide community members to resources and referrals to eliminate barriers to recovery, to treatment, and to well-being. Having a mental health challenge can be very daunting and you have lots of feelings of isolation, a lot of not knowing where to go for help, and so NAMI is there to help folks kind of navigate that mental health journey so that they can have access to recovery and live better lives. The third piece is support. We have a lot of peer-led support groups that offer both the individuals and their family members a safe environment where they can share experiences, find tips, learn coping skills, and just feel like they're not alone. And that's a big part of what NAMI Greater Toledo does, is that we don't want anyone to travel that mental health journey alone. Okay, there we go. And the last thing is public awareness events. Being here at the Rotary today is one of those opportunities where I can build some public awareness. We also do lots of other things in the community. We have a huge walk, which I'll talk about. And we just go out and talk to people, start conversations, want to make sure that we're working on eliminating that stigma to make sure that people feel good, that that their brains are working well, and so that they can lead very productive and healthy lives. Okay, so I think I mentioned we are really blessed here in Greater Toledo to have a very strong NAMI affiliate. We've been around for about 40 years, and our motto is that we do not want anyone to travel that mental health journey alone. It's very important to us. We have a staff of professionals and large group of dedicated volunteers that know how to help, because we've all either experienced mental illness personally, or we're supporting a loved one or caregiving for a loved one who's traveling that journey. And so because of that, we all have lived experience, and that way we can provide some more tailored support to folks. I don't know why this is not clicking very well. There we go. I went. Okay, is the clicker doing that, Matt, or is that you, or Kevin? Okay. It's going crazy here. All right, there we go. Okay, so we are actually a national network of about over 600 state and local affiliates. Again, I mentioned we have some in Canada and Mexico as well. And everything that I talk about today that we do here rings true for other NAMI affiliates. So if you have businesses or family members or whatnot that are in other communities around our country, you can pretty much bet that you'll find a NAMI affiliate close by that can offer the same kinds, maybe not exactly the same, but very similar support, education, and resources that we have here in the Greater Toledo area. Okay, so here in Greater Toledo, we're kind of proud to tell you all that your local mental health levy dollars, that every time Toledo passes or Lucas County passes one of those mental health levies, a portion of that is going to help organizations like NAMI. And those are your dollars at work, and I'm kind of proud here to share some of the stuff that our small but mighty affiliate does with some of those levy dollars. In the course of 1 year, we have over 300 clients that attend our support groups. We have over 700, close to 750 individuals who attend art support workshops that are a little less threatening than some of those support groups for folks, a great way to express themselves. We have graduated over 122 actually graduates from some of our NAMI classes. We have 300 and some families that have worked with our family navigators. They come to us looking for guidance and assistance and support, and we help link them up with therapies and providers and just support pieces so that they can travel that journey, and again, not alone. And then we also have a big annual event called NAMI Walks, which I'm going to speak about in a minute. We have over 1,000 walkers here in Lucas County that join us for that Community Awareness Day. So small and mighty little nonprofit here in Greater Toledo is able to do all of those things in the course of 1 year, and thanks to individuals just like all of you sitting in this room. So I appreciate that. The walk is our largest annual fundraiser, but even more importantly than that, it is the largest community mental health awareness event that we have here in Lucas County. We do it each May. We join with hundreds of NAMI affiliates and local and state affiliates all over the country for a day of hope. And it's basically just to highlight mental health, start conversations, and erase the stigma of mental health in our communities. During COVID, it was a little more challenging, but this past year we were able to really pull that off beautifully with a combination of some virtual and in-person walk opportunities. But again, I think that it's important for us to remember that in the light of this pandemic, we have a lot of folks out there who are feeling isolated, are stressed because of all the things that are going on. So I think just about everybody in this room probably knows what it's like to feel a little down. And imagine what it's like to be someone who's got a chronic mental health challenge that feels like that every day, all the time, for years and years and years. So the NAMI Walks is a great way for us to make a statement out there that we're going to bust stigma, and we recognize that your mental wellness is just as important as your physical wellness. I don't know about this. Matt? Can you move me forward? Yeah, there we go. Oh. There we go. Okay, so I've been using the phrase mental health a lot, so let's just step back for a minute and talk about what mental health is. Its textbook definition is the emotional, psychological, and social well-being of an individual, and it affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. It also determines how we handle things like stress, how we communicate and relate to other people, and how we make choices. So a prime example of that is, let's take, the unfortunate situation of a homeless person. A lot of those folks have chronic mental health conditions. They burned a lot of bridges. They've made choices, but choices that they might not have made if their brain wasn't ill. So we have to think of it like that. I know mental health sometimes presents itself as bad behavior, but it's not bad behavior. It is a chemical imbalance in the brain. It is a real disease, no different than diabetes or heart issues. Okay, this is it. Oh. All right. I think we skipped, I don't know, why am I bouncing around so much here, guys? Yeah. All right, we want to play that video. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so while some people exhibit obvious signs of struggling with a mental health challenge, other ones might not be so apparent. So I just want to show a short little, it's like a minute, maybe a minute and a half video about 10 signs that someone who is struggling with mental health challenges might present with.
Mental health conditions are more common than you may think. 1 in 5 youth or young adults lives with a mental health condition. Do you know the warning signs? Like feeling sad or withdrawn for more than 2 weeks. Severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships. Intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities. Sudden overwhelming fear for no reason. Or seriously trying to harm or kill oneself, or making plans to do so. Not eating, throwing up, or using laxatives to lose weight. Significant weight loss or weight gain. Severe, out-of-control risk-taking behavior that can cause harm to self or others. Repeated use of drugs or alcohol. Drastic changes in behavior, personality, or sleeping habits. Or extreme difficulty concentrating or staying still. If you see these signs in yourself or a friend, tell a trusted adult. The first step to getting help is to say it out loud.
Okay, so I have 3 myths that I want to share with you. The first one is this, that mental health problems do not affect me. Quite untrue. As I mentioned earlier, many people think this, but mental illness is really much more common than you would think. And I talked a little bit about what COVID was like and how we all probably understand a little bit about what it might feel like to be struggling with depression or anxiety. But I'm willing to guess, again, that all of you have felt that way over the past couple years, or that you have a family member that's felt that way. And when you're living with somebody who's struggling, or if you have some struggles yourself, they are affecting you, whether you believe it or not. The statistics are these. They say that 1 in 5 American adults experience a mental health issue over the course of a year. It's about 20%. For the first 10 years that I was at NAMI, that statistic I was always spewing out that statistic. Fast forward to the pandemic, the numbers are more like 1 in 3 now. So it's stepped up a lot. I don't imagine that it's going to, wane anytime soon because we've got so many other, we're still in the middle of all of this. Just every day it seems to be something different. But those numbers now are 1 in 3. 1 in 10 young people are experiencing a period of major depression. Think about what that pandemic has done to a lot of our young people. I have young adults in my own home. Their lives were disrupted. They were getting ready to, graduate from college, go out on their own, whatever. Life stopped, and everything that they worked so hard for all their life, was now uprooted. So young people, definitely susceptible to, some major bouts of depression. And about 1 in 25 Americans live with a serious mental illness. So now we're talking about something, quite serious like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, again, or major depression. So they affect us, mental health affects us all. The second myth is that people with mental health problems are violent and unpredictable. Okay, well, we can thank the media for that because the media is always showing us, people who seem to, not be of right mind or sound mind. But the fact is that the vast majority of people with mental health issues are not any more likely to be violent than anybody else in this room. Only 3 to 5% of the violent acts in this country can be attributed to individuals living with serious mental illnesses. In fact, it's far more likely that someone with a mental illness is going to be the victim of a violent crime rather than the perpetrator. So, contrary to what is out there in the media, the social media, mentally ill people are not any more violent, any more dangerous than anybody else. And the third mental health myth is that people with mental health needs cannot tolerate the stress of a job. Again, very, very much untrue. People with mental health problems that are effectively treating it, so that's the key word, if you're in treatment, you can be just as productive at your job as any other employee. And in fact, honestly, when employees with mental health problems actually receive treatment, and there's a lot of folks out there that are working well with treatment, it actually is of benefit to the employers because it's lowering medical costs, it's lowering absenteeism, it's lowering disability costs, and it's actually increasing productivity. So an important myth for I think all of you and everybody in this room to remember is that people with mental health challenges, as long as they're treating it, can be very productive parts of, employment. Okay, so I just want to talk for a few minutes just to kind of wrap this around. There's a lot of public figures out there who have faced mental health issues and are very open and honest about it. And here's a little bit of a list. We've got world leaders like, Martin Luther King Jr. and Abraham Lincoln and Winston Churchill. We've got business leaders, Aaron Swartz from Reddit, Elon Musk, Kate Spade. A lot of acting celebrities are very vocal about their mental health challenges. Here's a few here, Carrie Fisher and Billy Joel. And then a lot of sports celebrities. That's of recent. I think I've been hearing more and more sports celebrities that are coming out to talk about what their mental health challenges are. So it's really more common than one would think. And look at that list of folks. Lots of productive folks, lots of people who have contributed a lot to our community and our country and whatnot, and the world. Okay, so let's move on to just a few. I just want to talk a little bit about workplace stress. And this slide particularly is probably pre-pandemic. Before the pandemic, if folks are stressed out at work, it's probably because of things like office politics or working long hours, feeling like something's not fair. Maybe one employee gets some benefit over another. Many of them feel that they don't have job security or no control over what's going on in the workplace, that lack of control. Or maybe they feel like they haven't been acknowledged or they're not getting rewarded or nobody's said, hey, job well done. Go on. Now we add COVID to the picture, right? Now we've got a lot of folks that are, and including this club, is still doing some stuff, right, remotely. Now we got remote work stressors. We've got people who are trying to make that balance between, staying home with the kids, making sure their homework's done, and that they're, doing their online classwork. So they're trying to balance that the family responsibilities with the needs of work. And they're starting maybe to feel like they have productivity guilt, like maybe they should, that they're not being as productive as they should be because they have to balance this all day long. They're trying to get accustomed to new communication tools. I know I heard, earlier that Rotary had to make a quick switch, just like everybody else, and that was a little challenging, and technical difficulties, we're still having those, right? And couldn't get the video to work today, and I know Matt's really good at his job. Maybe a lack of access to the equipment they need, uncertainty about the future, and then just adjusting to a different workspace or a different schedule and trying to get everything in and making sure that balance is there. So this is a great little example. I hope this hits home, and I hope you all can, kind of maybe understand this a little bit better. So we're going to, what's the name of this place, Kevin? The National, let me see. Yeah, National Safety Council, that's right. They have a little calculator online where you can kind of gauge what the impact is in the workplace. So we plugged in a 25-person real estate or finance company here in Ohio, okay? So you can all probably relate to that. Okay, the calculator told us that about 6 of those 25 employees are probably experiencing mental health issues. And they're probably not severe mental health issues. They're probably something, similar along the lines of, some minor depression or anxiety. But 2 of them are experiencing that severe mental distress, the major depression, or maybe even bipolar disorder or something, some undiagnosed condition. 7 of those employees' family members are experiencing mental health issues. And then 4 of those family members are experiencing severe mental health issues. So if you think about a 25-person workplace and how many of those folks are really struggling or it's affecting them directly, here's what it's costing that 25-person company. It's costing them almost $14,000 in lost time. It's costing them $16,600 in job retraining and turnover. And it's costing them an extra $13,320 in healthcare costs. All for something that really could be treated and supported and, eradicated for the most part, at least the financial piece of it, for sure. So, and how do we do that? Here's how we do it. For every $1 that's invested in mental health treatment, there's a $4 return in productivity. So that's pretty impressive. So as employers, you should really be thinking about that. You want to make sure that the people who work for you and your coworkers and whatnot, that you're making an investment in their mental health, not just their physical health, but their mental health as well. And again, this is a duplicate of the slide, but remember that if we're investing in those things, we're decreasing disability costs. We're lowering medical costs, we're lowering absenteeism, and we're increasing our productivity. So it's a win-win. It seems like a pretty easy decision to make. Okay, so how can NAMI help? So here's how NAMI can help. NAMI has a free program called Stigma Free Company. And basically what that is that we will be happy to come into an organization, a business, and do some mental health education, free mental health education, work with HR departments to, tailor things that are appropriate for individual businesses, because each business is run a little bit different and each business has, different things that are going on. So what we do is we help that HR team build a stigma-free workplace by providing education and resources, encouraging and helping with wellness activities, finding ways for people to connect socially so that they feel like they're supported, promoting awareness events, and then just doing community volunteering. I mean, just going out as a group with your team to do something good in the world. I mean, I know Rotary is all about, doing good things in this world, and so this is a great way for folks to come together to, do something and bond a little bit. Okay, so I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about stigma just for a minute, because I'm sure most of you know what stigma is, but the textbook definition of that is a negative view of self or others that causes feelings of shame and or judgment. And here's how it shows up. So look at that list of comments, things people sometimes say when they're referring to someone who's got a mental health challenge. Why can't she just get over it? Well, you wouldn't say that to someone who has cancer or a broken leg. Why can't you just get over it? Snap out of it. Believe me, if the folks who had mental health challenges could just snap out of it, they'd be doing it. So that's not a nice thing to say. He's lost his marbles, she's not playing with a full deck, and using words like, dangerous or incompetent to refer to someone, probably not good. And then there's a lot of characters, like, for instance, I think about the Batman movies sometimes. I mean, some of those characters are portrayed as having they're villains, and they're being portrayed as if they have some mental health challenges going on. So, but those are ways that we can very easily, walk out of this room and just kind of erase some of that stigma by not using those kinds of words and things. Stigma is a problem because it creates an environment of shame, fear, and silence, and it prevents many people from seeking support and treatment. So think about your workplace. If you have coworkers who are not, that stigma is attached, they're not going to tell you what's happening in their lives or what their challenges are or what's going on in their family life. But they're sitting at work every day, or they're at work every day, and they're really not being as productive as they can. But they're not comfortable coming to their supervisor and saying, hey, I'm really struggling, or something really, bad is happening in my home. I really need, the day off to deal with this. And it's stigma that keeps them from doing that. And also, it keeps them from going into treatment as well. And we know, I just explained, recently, just in the past few minutes, that treatment works. Treatment does work. People can be very productive individuals and great employees if they're in treatment. And if you had a cancer diagnosis, you most likely would probably go, get treated, or heart disease or something like that. You would go to treatment. This is really no different. Go ahead. Okay, so just a few things to just keep in mind. Mental health conditions are the leading cause of disability in the United States, and that costs us dollars. Those untreated mental health conditions cost us about $200 billion in lost earnings and decreased work performances in this country. That's a whole lot of money. And I just talked a little bit about how treatment works. Well, 8 out of 10 workers are reporting that shame and stigma are keeping them from going to seek treatment, which is really, really unfortunate. And again, the family is also affected. It increases that leave time use. I'm sure many people in this room have had to take a day off of work because they've had to deal with a loved one or somebody they're caring for that has had some kind of event that precipitated them having to take time off of work to be supportive. So here's some things you can do as employers. Is to offer health insurance with mental health benefits. I think most insurance companies do, but to be cognizant of the fact that sometimes they're limited in the number of appointments and whatnot that they can get. Have employee assistance programs, have great FMLA leave policies, work with your HR departments to have workplace wellness programs, provide reasonable accommodations. If an employee comes to you and says, hey, I just really need a mental health day, or I'm really struggling, provide reasonable accommodations for that. You would if they broke their arm. Encourage ongoing training, promoting that work-life balance that I talked about, especially as we do a lot of this remote work. It's really important for people to have a nice balance that isn't stressing them out. And just as managers, stay available and connected and, be willing to listen. And here are a few self-care tips for you to practice at work. Attending professional development trainings. You all are here every Monday, I think, getting learned in some things, right? Regularly, right? Express interest in new opportunities. Ask your managers if you want to, do skill building or do trainings. Leave on time and limit overtime. Take lunch breaks. Take annual leaves. Use up that vacation time. There's a reason for it. Be sure to undertake counseling if you have personal issues, or maybe keep a journal. Don't be afraid to ask for professional assistance or support. And then make it a team, make team building a part of what you do all the time so that individuals can maintain good relationships with their supervisors and their coworkers. And maybe even establish a mentor program where folks will have somebody to come to if they if they need some additional support. All right, how'd I do on time? Because I know I was blowing through it.
We're going to skip some questions today. Robin will hopefully stay around if you've got some more questions. Sorry we took a little extra time. Robin, I'd like to give you this book, Historical Tales of Toledo.
Thank you.
And it's by past president of our club.
Table book, right? Yeah, thank you.
And also, we'd like to make a donation to Polio Plus in your name.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
thank you for all the work you do. Thank you for a great presentation, and she'll stick around afterward. We had a real good reason for being a little late today. Next week, also Chuck, fortuitously, is not here today because we didn't have time for him. So next week we have Dr. Stephen Lowell Swisher, and he will be speaking on finding ultimate success in business and life. We have one committee meeting today, and Wes already talked about that. It's the Peace Committee in the Chelsea room. Is that on this floor? Oh, and vocational service. I don't know where they are. All right, Shamrock, thank you. And what? Yep, both on this floor. Kathy, I don't know what to say. You did a great job getting me ready for all this, and I truly appreciate it. And I don't know how well I'm doing, but I'm trying, and that's all I can do. Just remember, always look forward. You can't go back in time, so whatever you didn't do, you didn't do. So thank you so much. And we are adjourned.